The house that wasn't there. A door that shouldn't exist. It started with a house. Or rather, it started with a space that should not have been there. When Miles Carter and his fiancée, Evelyn, moved into the two-story colonial on Ashmere Drive, they thought they were getting a quiet suburban retreat. Nothing about the place stood out until the night they discovered the door. A plain wooden door on the first floor. One they had never seen before. One that had not been there when they moved in. Evelyn laughed, assuming it was a prank, but Miles felt something cold run down his spine. They both remembered the hallway being unbroken wall space. They had measured it for a bookshelf. And yet, the door was here. When they opened it, they found darkness, a hallway stretching into the impossible. The inside was wider than the outside of the house should allow. Miles reached in, flicking on his phone's flashlight. The corridor swallowed the light. No walls, no ceiling. Just an impossible void stretching deeper than should exist. Evelyn shut the door. The next morning, the door was gone. But now, there was something else. Something was wrong with the house. The angles. The measurements. The space. The living room was larger than they remembered. The kitchen's dimensions seemed to shift. They tried to laugh it off, but the numbers never added up. 2. The Journal of Jacob Hensley. Miles became obsessed. He started researching the history of the house and found an old journal belonging to Jacob Hensley, a former tenant from the 1920s. The entries made little sense at first, scattered descriptions of a house that didn't obey physical laws. The door appeared again. The space within is black as pitch. Every time I try to map it, I get lost. The house shifts when I sleep. The walls are not where I left them. I hear whispers in the dark. The longer I stay, the less I remember what is real. There was a final entry, one written in an unsteady hand. If anyone finds this, the house does not want you to leave. 3. Descent into the dark. Evelyn left a week later. She called it paranoia. Miles called it necessary. The door came back. This time, it was in the basement. He entered. Inside, he found a spiraling staircase, descending into endless black. He walked for hours, days, he wasn't sure. The deeper he went, the less reality made sense. The walls stretched and bent. The sound of his own footsteps came seconds late. His phone lost signal, the battery drained at impossible speed. And then, the whispers started. Something was in the darkness. A presence. A breathing thing that was watching, waiting. Miles ran. He climbed back up the stairs, but the basement was gone. He emerged into a hallway that was not his house. The walls pulsed as if alive. Doors lined the corridor, each one leading to a different version of his home. Some rooms were upside down. Some were empty voids. Some contained versions of himself, distorted and twisted. One door led back to the real world. Miles barely made it through before it disappeared behind him. 4. The house that wasn't there. The next day, the house was normal again. But the measurements were still wrong. Miles left. Sold the house. Moved across the country. Years later, he received a package with no return address. Inside was the Journal of Jacob Hensley. A final note was scrawled on the last page in his own handwriting. You never left. And in the mirror behind him, the door was back. At Kanchaknapong R6F, have you seen the door?